self-serving, persuasive talkers
of everything and nothing.
We are Conversation Con Artists. What's going on, people? It's your boy, Mr. On Point, and as you know, Red is not with us today at the Conversation Con Artists podcast. She had surgery, so wish her well. Send her some wishes with a listener letter if you want to. But I have some guests with me. I have Sid, the twin kid, and Collin. Sid, what's going on? Tell the people about yourself and what you got going on.
Hey y'all, I am from the podcast Let's Not Go There. We talk about relationships and sex in a very childish, dirty manner, but it's entertaining. And you know, I'm glad that I get to come and talk with Eddie and be an adult and not talk about things in a very childish manner today.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, it's give and take. It's like a roller coaster. It's like adult childish. You know, in and out.
I'm a child all the time. Gemini doesn't know for being a child. I'm a child all the time, pretty much.
Okay. And we got Collin. At this point, you know, we might as well just call you a contributor like CNN. Just be having contributors. Just like don't be on that Jeffrey. Yeah, don't be on that Jeffrey tubing now.
No, we can't be on the no tubing allowed. There's no tubing on the Zoom call. But
we might as well just call when you masturbate on cam, you just tubing out here.
Oh Lord Jesus.
Collin the meat positivity correspondent.
There we go. I like that.
Wow.
So Sid, I don't think Sid is probably familiar. Oh no, you should be familiar with
me. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
familiar.
all right.
But I didn't, you know what? It just clicked in. Like it just clicked in. Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
So look, this is gonna be a wild ride, y'all. What we doing is a whole combination of different type of letters, relationship letters, am I the asshole letters, and Collin got us on something new, which we'll let him talk about when he get into it. So let's just dive in. Well, first off, let me say you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. MISTER_on_point. Where can y'all be found if they want to get at you?
You can follow the podcast at Let's Not Go There Podcast on Instagram, as well as follow me and my co-host. His name is FM Live, and mine is Sid the Twin Kid, exactly as it sounds, on Twitter.
Sid SYD.
SYD, not SI. It's SY. I'm a woman.
Cool. Yeah, you can find me, although it won't be. I'm not. You know, my posts are not all about meat positivity all the time, but. Twitter and Instagram, CASmith07. So pretty simple. A lot of nerdy stuff. Maybe a little politics every once in a while. So, but that's about it. So we can get into it if you're ready.
Let's get it.
I'm ready for this one.
Oh, go!
He's ready.
So this is good too, because first time we're doing like a triple show, and then we have another podcast host here in Sydney who does, like you said, a lot of sex and relationship talk on your podcast. So I think this is perfect.
This is perfect. This is right up my alley.
Yeah, this one is perfect. So this is a new subreddit. We were talking about it a little pre-show. Well, not a new subreddit, but new to the podcast. Dead bedrooms. So the description is a support group for Redditors who are coping with a relationship that is seriously lacking in sexual intimacy. Advice is always appreciated. Just don't be surprised if we've heard it all. So every once in a while I used to read these, you know, be hanging out, you know, you get bored on a weekend or something like that. And look, honestly, some of my inspiration for looking at this is before I was in my current relationship, I had a series of bad relationships, and then also was single for a really long time too. And, you know, you wonder like, man, I'm in one of these dry spells. I ain't got to know, you know, nothing in like 422 days or whatever it is. But I wonder how bad it is elsewhere, right? Like it was really bad when you find out people were living with somebody, like a wife, spouse, you know, husband, wife, spouse, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you want to call it, and they still aren't like. So then you don't feel that bad being alone, sitting in my apartment, like, oh, it's, you know, we good then. You know, I'd rather just be, if I'm not getting it, I'd rather be alone and not get it than be with somebody that you're supposed to be in love with and you still not getting it. So,
true story.
Wanted to find one that I think is a good jumping off point to talk about. The title of this is The Phases of a Dead Bedroom from an HL point of view. So HL on this subreddit is high libido. And then when they talk about other folks on the other side of that spectrum, it's LL for low libido. So that's how they talk about like the dead bedroom. So a lot of it is like a lot of high libido people complaining that their low libido partner doesn't want to do anything with them anymore. So here's their list.
This is for me.
Yeah, this is some, you know, not as funny as some of them, but okay. So number 1, rejection and confusion. This doesn't feel right. Number 2, why doesn't my partner want me? Is it me? Questioning my desirability? Is something wrong with my low libido partner? 3, bargaining or contorting, negotiating, and earning. Maybe if I'm sexier or better or do more tasks. Number 4, de-investing in the relationship. So that's probably when this is when they start to turn, and they probably find this, as soon as they de-invest and they go online and start talking about it. Number 5, giving up, taking sex off the table, pulling away from the relationship for self-protection. Number 6, realization. But wait, this isn't sustainable. And while it might not hurt as much because I'm not getting rejected, my needs are still not getting met. Number 7, resentment. Partner doesn't care that I'm starving, mourning loss of connection and intimacy, obsessing on your unmet needs, sleep loss, anxiety, etc. Number 8, ultimatum or breakup. Number 9, hysterical bonding. A lot of talk that they will try. Number 10, glimmer of hope. Number 11, return to normal. And then repeat 8 through 11 until you can't ride the roller coaster anymore and you realize you deserve better. Even though you do love this person, you love yourself more. And then 12, the final breakup. And this step may be delayed due to COVID. So they got some there's an edit and there's a further thought, but they're kind of we don't want to get into that. It's not good material. So try to get some thoughts since we got an expert on here now. So.
I guess I would be considered an HL. Believe it or not, there are women out there that are HL people. I don't know why men think that they're myths. And the problem that I have is because I am a woman and I am an HL, it feels like men feel like it's okay to say no more. I don't know what that is. And so I've gone through all those steps before where I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just going to take it away. They don't want it. I'm going to take it away. I'm going to try to get over it. And then they're like, oh no, we get into a good groove for a short amount of time. And then it's back, because I date a lot of men who have very busy lifestyles. They're very career driven men. So because of that, my bedroom life is very sad in general, no matter whether I'm in a relationship or not, because stress takes on. Sometimes they're just not available. I've dated someone and we've been in a relationship and they were literally working to the point that they fell asleep. Like the laptop was in the bed with us. Like they worked the entire time. And although I respect the hustle, if through my sexual hustle, if I could say that, and it's real, and COVID makes it worse, to be honest, because then you're both working from home. If you're living together and you see the person all the time, and if you're a sexual person and you see your partner and you're very much so attracted to them, you're seeing them walk around you all damn day, and you don't get any all day, and the next day, and the next day.
You said something on you said something on the last episode of your podcast regarding having a high libido and how men treat you like they treat you a certain way. They think they can treat you a certain way just because you have a high libido, but you replace them quick or something like that.
Yes. Being a sexual person does not mean I'm necessarily an easy person. I mostly indulge in my relationships. I don't like just date someone on a first date and be like, ooh, it's time to get it in. That comes with an emotional connection. So once I am emotionally connected to you, I want to have sex with you all the time, every day, sometimes multiple times a day. If that's my, and it doesn't go away. See, that's the thing. People think it's like a honeymoon phase. Like for me, it continues. Like it does not end. And because of that, I have to be careful with that. Because you could be emotionally connected to someone and you're not in a relationship with them, and you become a super sexual person with them, and then they start to think of you as if you're a woman, they start to think of you as being like some kind of whore. Like, oh, she just do this with everybody. She's a whore. And I'm like, I'm not a whore. I just like to have sex with you in particular. So that makes it difficult as a woman with a high libido to be able to have successful relationships and to have people that can take those things seriously, because people can't differentiate emotion and sex.
I think men, like at this point in our society, like especially men who are not like seeking to be allies to women and things like that and understanding what a free woman looks like, I think it's really hard to embrace a woman that's embraced her sexual freedom,
Yeah.
and so it's like, oh, she's sexually free. She for everybody, like that kind of mentality that come along with, not understanding what choice look like for somebody, because that mentality is based on we choosing, not the woman choosing. Oh man, my first relationship that I mentioned several times was with a girl that was a nympho, I will say. That's just how I'm gonna put it. It was wild. I mean, we had sex 2 or 3 times a day for a long time. And I was like, so I think my libido is relatively high, like I would never turn down sex. I never turn down sex from my partner. And so it's like I had a high
So lucky.
libido and she had an ultra high libido. And like after that, now I never turned down sex with my partner, so I had all the sex that was to be had in that situation. But after I got out, I was like, I think I had enough sex for about 3 years. I was out for 3 years, y'all, legit.
I mean, that's the thing. Most guys think that they want a high. I think when men get into a relationship with a woman who's constantly saying no, because there are women all over the spectrum, low libido, medium libido, high libido. And if you're in a relationship with a woman that is a low libido woman, a lot of times men think like, oh, I want to have sex all the time, because like there's like this build up pressure, and then they get with someone that has a high libido, and then they realize, oh, this is too much. I'm actually not. I really don't want to have sex as much as I think I do.
Yeah, see, women can literally have sex all day. Men have that refractory period. Like we literally, our bodies got to build back up our genetic purpose for having sex, which is, breeding, so that refractory period be like, oh, you done released all your semen. You gotta refresh, and it take time for that, so doing that so much, so frequently gets crazy. So,
I want to propose you guys a question though. I've said this on the podcast. I'm sure if you've heard me say this before, a lot of women don't know how to orgasm. And I don't think because women know how to orgasm, because our bodies are so much more complex than men are. Women don't teach men how to make them orgasm. So a lot of times sex starts to feel like a chore. It does not feel like something that you want to do. It becomes, because having something go in and out of you, and then you only have so much amount of lubrication, and you're not really turned on because you can't orgasm, is totally different from having sex with somebody who understands and knows how to have an orgasm. And I find that a lot of women, I know a lot of women. I'm a stylist, so I know a lot of women, and people get very comfortable and tell me about a lot of things in their life. And a lot of women are out here married for years, having long-term relationships, and not having an orgasm. So some of these women may not even have a low libido. They just may not know how to orgasm. And because of that, sex is not enjoyable.
Yeah. So this is the reason why this one's pretty interesting is because, and I kind of kept this hit the ball on this one a little bit. My last long-term relationship actually basically turned into almost the equivalent of a dead bedroom. And some of those things on that list are accurate, right? Like I remember getting to the point where, she had become really into like a lot of the fit culture type of stuff. And it wasn't like she was rolling around with like 6-pack abs or anything like that, but she was very much started getting into like, she didn't eat certain food anymore, and like, she was only drinking certain kind of alcohol because of the calorie count, or because it was only on the keto thing or whatever it was. And so I remember at one point, it was tell a little bit of a personal story on this one. So I remember at one point, like we were supposed to go down to New Orleans together for New Year's. This was back when I was in New York. Mr. On Point will remember back when I was living out that way. Mm-hmm. And she ended up booking her airfare and everything without me. We were supposed to meet up and talk about it and figure out when we could coordinate the flight so we could get there at the same time and everything. And she had one of her girlfriends that she knew was from there. She just booked it, and then I was asking her like, "Hey, did we're gonna sit down and talk about this?" She's like, "Oh, I already booked the trip." And so it was kind of like, "Oh, okay. Well, when's the like when's the stuff so I can go ahead and get my airfare, like blah blah. It was like, oh well, like it's kind of only now it's only gonna be a girls trip. So this was like 2-3 weeks left before New Year's, and we had already had an issue now probably for about a year or two where the sex was few and far between. And so I remember this New Year's Day. I went back up to the city from my parents' place down in Virginia on New Year's Eve in the morning. Spent New Year's Eve just kind of hanging out, doing what I normally do now, playing video games, playing on the PlayStation, the Xbox at night. And then the next day, I met up with a friend who had been to a party before, and we went out to brunch and stuff like that on New Year's Day because they had some specials and stuff at one of my favorite restaurants. And I got like really, really drunk, like really, really, really drunk, like throughout the day. And part of that was just because it's New York and everything's walking. You don't drive, so you can drink, and just walk home. But part of it was because I was actually hurting from that. You know what I mean? We were supposed to be having a partnership, and it didn't feel like it. It felt like things were kind of diverging apart. So I didn't like how I felt though, because I was like drunk. Basically, I was drunk until I didn't even get a start. The hangover didn't start until like 3 p.m. the next day. And so I was like, this is unsustainable. So I waited until the following day when I actually felt like somewhat normal. And I went to, we had like a corporate discount on a gym, like a local gym in New York. I went, signed up, and immediately started classes in boxing again, which is one of the things that I used to do in college, and just generally just working out. Part of that was I'm tired of being, just like feeling like sluggish and everything. The other part though was maybe because she's been doing this fitness thing for a while, maybe she doesn't find me attractive anymore. So if I get myself in better shape, maybe she'll be wanting to get the pipe again, right? So trying to be, even though I've always been a meat positive person, you know what I mean? Like I don't have any issues with my own meat, but like she apparently had an issue with the meat. So I'm talking about I was putting in sometimes 2-a-day workouts, and then it started to not become more of a motivator just for that, but even just for me, because you start to see some progress in something that you're working on, and it's like, oh shit, it's like validating. So you get like that validation of like the hard work that I'm doing is actually reaping some kind of reward. Not so, not so far like the reward of like other women in the gym starting to notice and talk to you, which is like, so perhaps, and before I've reached my, goal numbers and weight, whatever it is, like they're already talking to me. So like, do you start to think like, maybe it's not me. Maybe I'm good to go. Right. Mm-hmm. So keep going. And then like come to find out that didn't work. It didn't matter how good a shape I got in. It didn't matter what I was doing. It didn't matter. The sex was still not there. And so it's just it's an interesting conversation for me. And then, you talk about like what that expectation is on the other side of it, which is, at that point I was wanting a high libido partner. Like I want you to want me, right? Like that way, we have a mutual agreement as to what we're supposed to be doing here. But, a lot of times I feel like, a lot of times I just kind of feel like that you're right. Like people do look at that and they make assumptions about it. Like, oh, yeah, well, she must be a hoe because if she's out there, if she's doing this to me, she must be doing this to everybody. Or, a lot of those types of things that I think are, I used to think up until maybe a couple years ago, paying attention to like the landscape of things, like socially and politically, like that it was an American culture thing. But like it's pretty clear that this is like, I mean, it might be exacerbated in America because we do have kind of a prude culture, but it's worldwide. Like men worldwide are, I mean, it's like people say men are trash. I mean, in the aggregate, yeah. I mean, we typically don't, we're not very good at that kind of stuff. And, you see it all the time. Like, oh, like a girl. I remember one time I was out at a bar and like with some friends, and like this dude was like mad at his girl, talking about she's dancing like a slut because she was like just dancing with her homegirls. And I'm like, bro, don't you want, but like that's your girl though. So like if she's dancing like a hoe, that's your girl though. So like
She's your hoe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, like you should be hyped about the fact that like your woman actually is like, feeling at least a little bit sexually free, and then is still choosing you, so that you can be the absolute 100% beneficiary of that sexual freedom. But it's just like, it's so weird to me. I don't know.
But see, that's the
But this
problem.
goes like we talk about big dick energy though. This is like the kind of like to that conversation too, right?
Big dick energy.
Yeah, that's like real small dick energy. Like to be sitting there like mad because your girl can dance. Like, what do you like? The fuck is wrong with you?
I ain't drinking some coffee for this conversation.
But see, that's the crazy part, because when it comes to men all around the world that came from a society where women were property, my example is, the way that you perceive property is different than you perceive things that are not property. For example, if my Xbox got up and walked to my neighbor's house and let other people play it, I will get that motherfucker and chain it down. I'm not gonna let you belong to me, motherfucker. Like, I paid for you. I clean you when you dirty. I blow the fan off when dust get in your system. Sit the fuck down. And so when a man perceives a woman as that kind of property, he don't want people looking at it. He don't want people experiencing it the way he do, because he believes that the investment that I've given you means that I have some kind of like privy to your existence. And I think that's that thing where women meet a man the first time and they go on a date, and the man pay for the date, and he think he finna get fucked tonight because he paid for some goddamn lobster. If you pay for lobster, niggas are really just paying for a fucking Fiesta Lime chicken at Applebee's.
This is what's confusing though. Like, you want to have sex, that's why you buy the dinner, but if I fuck you because you bought the dinner, then you mad at me because I fucked you. That's what's so confusing. Like, my mind just don't be working well with that. So it's almost like I could meet someone, because I say no a hell of a lot more than I say yes. And I could meet someone, I'm like, man, I already know that this guy is for me. You could know with pretty much in the first or the second date, like, this person, we vibing. You could just tell, And I'm like, damn, and I'm gonna have to make you wait like some absurd amount of time just because I have to get you to wrap around your mind that you earned this, whatever this is, even though you really didn't earn it, because I had already decided the first or second time of us hanging out that you were gonna get it, but I have to make you wait. It's crazy. It's really crazy, to be honest, the way our society is set up and the way that we view women. The way that I talk about my sexuality is always it always makes me look a certain kind of way. It always makes me look a certain kind of way, which I have just learned to accept. When any woman that is moderately attractive, someone who could be like just okay, can have access to several different men. Any woman could be a whore. Any woman could be a whore. And I really wish men could get that around their mind.
You could be not okay, and they can still.
You could still be a whore. It does not matter what.
Smash anything. Like.
It just takes proximity and whatever you are allowing. To be honest, you could, if you live in a large city, or hell, if you live in a small little town, you really could be getting it. If you are a moderately attractive woman, your access to men is extremely large. So if you say yes to anyone, you could be a whore. Any woman could be a whore, especially if she wanted to. So I just wish this idea of women being a whore is such a small percentage. A lot of women like to have sex, but it's like we're not allowed to. So women are jumping through hoops to try to spark this idea that like, oh, I'm not a whore. I do want to have sex, but I can't. There's so many women who want to and they can't.
No, this is my last thing I can say on that, and then I'll let Point get back in there. But like the whole like shaming women, just like, but I'm just saying like the whole shaming women for their sexuality thing, like motherfuckers beat their meat to feet porn. Like, so like you can't like how are you gonna like criticize women when like you in the dark in your house like beating your meat to people in stockings feet and stuff, or like or scat. Y'all familiar with scat porn? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
scat porn. Wait, what? Honestly, maybe
I'm doo-doo porn. It's doo-doo.
What?
Doo-doo.
So I don't know if you heard Biggie's first album, but he had a skit on there that talked about a woman that wanted him to shit on her chest.
Yes, I thought it was a joke.
I thought that was bullshitting too, but no, that is not bullshit. That is a whole genre of people's kink, a kink for people.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's be there usually be that that would be like the same people, right? It's always like it's never the people who just like are cool about stuff who are criticizing other people for stuff. Like the dude who's scrolling on Instagram or on Twitter at somebody's OnlyFans, they're trying to advertise and talking shit to them. They're like sitting at home, like, you slut, you whore, like blah blah. I always imagine it being like a white dude with like a beard that don't connect. You know what I mean?
Not a
But like,
big wow.
but
You low key
but
read so many people, man.
that person that's always being like the trying to repress women's sexuality or whatever is always that same person, like I said, who's like choking themselves with a belt and beating their meat to feet. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, bro, you out here talking about somebody who just wants to have regular sex, but you out here like doing some stuff that would get you banned in like 28 states or whatever. Like,
Man,
so
a lot. We talked about these guys named MGTOWs and TFLers, which TFLers are true force lonely guys. That's what they call themselves. And MGTOWs are men go their own way. See it if you look these
feel like
folks
incels.
up, yeah, like basically like incels, but specific groups of incels.
Wait.
They got their own subculture now.
Look, see it if you don't know about these guys, they really actually terrifying for women if you read about them. But they are dudes who basically decided that women are going to deny them the opportunity to be with them forever, and so they kind of leaned into being alone. And so it turned into this extremely violent and toxic culture towards women, and basically a whole bunch of justifications of why women don't accept them, which all equals women are fucked up. We normal, but women are fucked up. So I think a lot of those dudes are on that shit, And I guess it's just a coincidence that they have to go to OnlyFans to talk shit, because it's like, it's like,
Do you
always find a
entitlement though?
Say what?
Like, do you feel like it's a sense of entitlement? Like an entitlement, like you see a woman and I feel like I should have her, even if it doesn't make sense.
I do think that is a very strong component of those guys. So when you talk about like entitlement, psychologically takes a brain that's primed to feel deeply entitled too. And so I think that it goes in a lot of genres. So definitely covers wealth, definitely covers culture, but it also covers like relationships. Coming from a society where women used to be property, and a lot of men today that's in their 30s were raised by men who view women as that. And then you got this person with this brain psychological predisposition to be entitled. And then you throw in the relationship component where they feel entitled to a relationship that they can't have, maybe because they beard don't connect, maybe because they contribute to the dead bedroom, maybe because it could be anything. And they don't look at themselves and say, what can I do to make myself better? They say these women are shit because they ain't letting me exist around them, Well, what you said, see, it made me think about because it's like, I guess what for me it just honed in on how many women deal with this issue, because on the first song in Ari Lennox's Shea Butter Baby album, this song is basically about meeting a dude at an airport. And she said, listen, baby, I know that I'm speeding up this vibe. Is you gonna judge me if I fuck you before I catch this flight? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, damn, like, at what point in society will we be okay with that? And the last thing I'm gonna say about this one is like, I always reference back to an episode of Rick and Morty called Raising Gazorpazorp. It's basically Morty found this. Oh man, this is gonna sound all kind of crazy if you don't watch Rick and Morty or whatever, but it's about this granddaddy that traveled to different universes and stuff. But they went to this galactic pawn shop, and Morty found a sex bot that came from this galactic system where these women have taken over society basically, and the way that they procreate is that they shoot these sex bots out into the wild where the men live. The men are these big brutes that just have sex with them. The machines fly back to the women. They have the babies, and if it's a boy, they slingshot it back out into the wild. If it's a girl, they train her and raise her and educate her into this society.
How does? Okay. All right. I mean, sure. Like,
It makes sense, but like the analogy.
It's correct. But now I have to say this episode was written by men, so the things that women responded to in society was were very sexist. So basically, all the women in that group walking around, they were saying stuff to each other all over the place. Like, I love that top. I love that top. And, like that's all they were saying to each other, like walking around. And, Rick was in there with them and he farted. And the whole thing became, who is that made the sound that we never speak of and we don't do? So it was a whole bunch of little, it was really some digs on women for real. It wasn't like, but I use that to say, like, at what point will we get to a society where this shit start to topsy-turvy? You know what I'm saying? Are women gonna have to goddamn put on some battle gear, turn into the Dora Milaje and start fucking men up left and right just so they can, get that balance of power?
it's got to stop giving it up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Need to go on a vagina boycott. For real, or a dick boycott. Whoa. I mean, like I know because you said that you know.
Whoa.
I get it. I know what you because she's like, listen, I need to get my getting right. So, but like to get men to act right, that's what people say. If women were held out for like 6 months, I bet like we could end coronavirus if women were like, we ain't giving up no pussy until everybody wears a mask.
We probably could actually.
Motherfucking Donald Trump would come out with a mask on immediately and be like, "We're wearing the mask. It's the best thing ever." So, because like that's the one thing is like unfortunately too like because people we are all like natural creatures that want what we want. Like a lot of dudes who are hot garbage that don't deserve it still get it, and so as long as poor behavior is rewarded. It's the reason why like people wonder like why do men say some of the lines that they say? Or why does a construction worker whistle at somebody when they walk down the street? Or you hear like somebody use like a pickup line and it's like, who the hell would like, you know what I mean? Like oh, I really like the way that your feet look when you whatever. I don't know, some kind of line where you're like, because I don't know, because I don't say that kind of shit. So I'm trying to think of one, but I can't think of it. So like, but it like I would tell people because we'd be sitting around chatting with friends, they'd be like, who the hell is that? I'm like, it had to work on somebody because the reason why they're saying it is because it must work. Like and it's a shotgun approach. If you say it 100 times but it works one time, then you got some pussy one time. So like that, so then it must work, right? So, yes. And that's like so on point, yeah, it'll go topsy turvy when women stop giving it up and start making men like actually have to earn it instead of like showing up in a nice outfit and pretending to be rich and then, but it's not also helped by like the Instagram models out there who are like literally literally trying to find. They're trying to give it up in exchange for material goods. So like that doesn't help either because it's like there's a transaction to be had for everybody. But.
And I got a friend who she's halabido, and she'll send me a picture of a guy that said, "Hey, I met this guy on Tinder," and I'm like, "Look, don't do it, don't do it," because she'll be angry sometimes that a dude sent a dick pic on Tinder like day one, and it's like she's not happy about that, and she'll cut him off. But then it's like, you just met this dude day one, and you fucked him, so he goes like, this works for some people. Sending a dick works for some people, And I go to into my theory that women want dick pics from the men they want dick pics from. They don't want them from the people they don't want them from.
Absolutely true.
Even if it's like, even if in that moment your sexuality is what's making your desire stronger, at that moment you still want to know that if you invest a sexual experience with this dude, that it at least got the base components that you need for the interaction. So a dick pic at that moment for you may make sense. I know
how that. So that's the one time I learned, like, man, this must be how women feel when. I was talking to this chick one time, met her, it was like just years ago, met her on like a dating app, and she was wanting dick pics within like 6 hours of texting, and I felt accosted. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, like. So that was one of the moments where I was like, man, I was like, this must be what they feel like when men are like constantly like being nasty, because it felt like, I mean, you know, like I said, like, I mean, I sent the picture, you know, but like, but at the same time, like, it's like,
you felt violated, but you continue to
yeah,
be violated.
yeah. I was like, at first, I was like, yo, like, you even asked me like where we want to meet for a drink or go get something to eat, or like you just like, yo, let me see what that thing's doing. Like, it was like a real real like hood style aggressive language too. It was like, you know, I'm trying to see what you working with, and I was like, you got to at least take me out, you know, like.
I mean, that's why men say all the time, like, the good girls are the dirtiest. I keep hearing them. I hear that all the time. Good girls are the dirtiest. It's because they lying. They ain't been good the whole time.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretend to be good so that way, like, you can get quality men. Because if you're yourself at the beginning, they were like, oh my gosh, this whore. Like, this whore, we can't take her seriously. She probably been ran through. She an Amber Rose slut shame, you know, slut person. Like, you know, we gotta protect ourselves from this. And then they get with the girl who is the good girl, and then they're like, man, she's dirty. She's just dirty for me. And it's just like, it's all trickery. We've all decided to come as a consensus. The only way that we could get good quality men is to trick you. Like, we just have to trick you, which is awful.
Which ends up being a nice surprise if you end up getting tricked into, right? Like she's pretending to be all good, and you're like, oh, like, this is a wholesome experience. But like deep back in the day, like, you're thinking back when you were like 15 and you had your first porn experience, and you were like, so then all your expectations or whatever you saw when the first time when you were, you know what I mean? But then it turns out that, you know, your new partner actually is your personal porn partner or porn star it's like a positive surprise. But not for a lot of men though, because they, like you said, they
have to. It's a positive surprise if it happens within time frame. There's always a time limit. You got to do things within time. If you do things too early, it doesn't matter how long you played good. It's still gonna backfire. You have to time it out, and it's ridiculous. Welcome to the world of dating as a woman.
Yeah. Well, you know, closed mouths don't get fed. You know, I've been in a dead bedroom relationship, and you know what I guess I was hoping that, you know, she would just change at some point. You know? No, not become a porn star, just want to engage, period. You know, but at a certain point we had a conversation, and, you know, it turned out that her faith had become more important to her, and that was a part of it. And I was like, well, we ain't married. We don't have to have sex, you know, if you don't want to. You know, but that turns into a situation where now I get to make decisions based off of that if I can't handle that situation. You know, that ain't what broke us up, but, you know, it's just one of them situations where if you're not getting something, you need to communicate. Because in that list that you read, it don't really identify how that person addressed the issue with their partner. It basically says this was what I be going through, and it feel like that you sit on this side and be experiencing the shit, but like you gotta communicate. And I think with a situation like this, my question is, does the person with the low libido know that their person wants sex and they just like Ray Charles to that shit for the moment? You know, it's like, I don't know. Or do they really not know? Do they really not know that this is the experience that they helping create by not participating, you know? And did they know that their partner had a high libido from the jump? You know, was it what Sid was talking about? Was it like you had to be that representative at the beginning for whatever that person needs? So you're like, ooh, we gonna be fucking every day and then when it get to the situation, it's like bonnets and granny draws all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's one of those things, like, people are always on their best behavior at the beginning, right? And then as time goes on, you get in more like relationship mode is when the real comes out. And so, you know, in past experiences, like if I was ever, you know, pretty early on in a relationship, you know, you go over to the old lady's house, or she comes over and she's like really like within that first couple, you know, trying to bust it open, like that first experience or that first encounter, like, it's kind of like the same thing, like kind of like what Sid's saying, like there's like an immediate, like, Not me at least, me personally, not thinking like, oh, she must be just like dropping it on everybody. But for me, it was more like this might be like that best behavior. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if this is a sustainable thing. Whereas, in younger days, early 20s, you might have blown past that gate, so to speak. And I think as you get maybe a little bit older and you understand what reality is like, you understand that sometimes people are on their best behavior up front, and then you settle more into a routine, that's a little bit better. I mean, it's like with my current relationship, like, it's good. It's not too high, not too low. It's a good amount for what we need, for the needs, for life stress, for work schedules, for all that stuff, right? So nobody is feeling like there's any kind of neglect occurring, blah blah blah. So, but first couple of times hanging out for long weekends, it's like you beating down to the beat down like the whole time, right? Because that's just what you do with somebody that's new and exciting and everything. But the one thing is, like, it never seemed like it was outsized. Like it was never like it wasn't like where you go over to their house and then she's opening up the toy chest and pulling out leather and whips and chains on the first time. And you're like, yo, whoa, like, but then it like rolls back later. It was all normal. Everything was like relatively normal, and it felt like it was it's part of that communication, like you said. I think there's a point I'm trying to make as I'm talking too damn much, but it's communication, which is, there was a lot more talk about other things relationship wise than just the bedroom stuff, right? So I knew that there was at least going to be some other semblance of a connection otherwise that would continue to endure, versus, you'd be meeting people on Bumble or Tinder, and they just like I said, you two times out for some drinks, and she's like, "We going back to your place?" It's like, sure, because who's gonna turn that down? But then you get there, and she's like, making all kind of damn noise, and it's like, you think a camera crew is recording and gonna put it on Pornhub and shit, because it's the type of shit that you only see on the internet. Be like, this ain't real. This ain't sustainable. So, and I'm willing to walk away from that on the chance that maybe it was sustainable. Maybe that's who she really is. But more often than not, is not the case. So I'm willing to let that one go, and find something that feels a little bit more normal and natural.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not into some stuff, or I wouldn't like to try new things. Normal. But like normal is in like a healthy balance and interaction.
Balance, yeah.
Yeah.
So y'all, clearly we can sit here and talk for 45 minutes on one letter, because we just did.
Oh my God.
It's a good topic. I knew this was gonna be good.
Bro, we sat here and talked all this. We talked before the show, we talked about all these different letters we want to do. And we spent 15 minutes on one. So what you got? See it. Let's hit what you got next.
I'll try to make sure I don't choose like the craziest topic. So we're gonna talk about.
I'll skip my other one. We can save that one for another time so that we can.
Yeah, we'll just do one apiece. Am I the asshole for telling my wife that I prefer her post-pregnancy body?
Oh.
My wife has somewhat recently given birth to our son. She has ballooned up in a weight from a pregnancy weight gain, but a large amount of the weight went to her butt. Turns out I'm a huge ass man because I prefer how she looks now. My wife is freaking out though. She's like, oh my God, I can't even pull these jeans up my mid-thighs anymore, and is trying to look up a bunch of crazy weight loss diets and tips. I thought I was being a good husband when I told her to not try and lose the weight, that I prefer how she looks now. And I said, turns out I love how thick, with 2 C's, fat ass women look. And of course, she took it the wrong way and was in tears saying shit like, oh my God, I'm so fat and I look like a hippo. She's over exaggerating. She's got some extra padding on her belly and her face is a bit fatter, sure. But she's got a great thick figure, with 2 C's again. Well, I'm on her bad side now by the looks of things, and I'm forced to the couch, and my wife gives me dirty looks if I try to touch her butt or say anything positive about her body. I haven't gotten laid in like a week, and on top of it all off, my wife is like training our son to laugh, and when she calls me dumb, she's like, your daddy's a big dummy, right? And he'll burst out in laughter. Am I an asshole for preferring my wife's new figure?
No, you are not an asshole, sir. No, you are not. We were talking about this before when all you read was the headline in our little pre-show. And I was like, what if she now he like it because she's thick with 2 C's? I said that when we were talking in the pre-show. And he actually typed it up. Man, listen. I mean, I talked way too much in the last one, so I'm gonna let y'all talk on this one. The only thing I'm gonna say right now is no, I don't think you're an asshole for it, my man's, because you like what you like, right? And like, but I can understand why it might make her feel some type of way if her body image or her confidence issue, like if she liked how she looked before, she felt like she was more herself in her own skin in her pre-pregnancy or pre-partum body. So it's more of a sensitivity conversation of like, maybe you prefer your wife's new body. You try to like, work into it. Like we were talking about timelines, right? So it was talking about like, it was too early. You know what I mean? Like right after he's like, he never said anything about her ass, for the first however long of marriage. And then she has a baby and he's like, damn, you walk around, your ass look like a bag of Christmas presents. You know what I mean? Like, so that you might want to wait until like, don't be saying that like while she's still before she's discharged from the natal unit at the hospital, right? Like depending on what it was, but no, I mean, that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. So
first
you
off,
want me to go, you want me to go first, Eddie, or are you going?
You can go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say two things. The first thing I'm gonna say is, I think a lot of women can speak to this experience, especially if your weight is a yo-yo. My weight is a yo-yo. I'm a stylist, so I work a lot with fashion things. So I like to stay on the smaller side. So when I get bigger, if I'm in a relationship, I'm always being discouraged to lose weight, which is so annoying because although you may prefer me at a certain weight, you met me at this other weight. And that is the weight that I prefer. And it feels very unsupportive. Like it feels like, okay, well, was there something wrong with me beforehand? Which I'm sure is not the intention. But women have a distorted view of their body already. All women do, because social media, what is that? All women do. Well, some women may walk around thinking they thick and they could be built like a toothpick, and some women could be walking around thinking that they look like Kim Kardashian and are looking a little bit on a different spectrum. So we all have different views of what our body should be looking like. And I think the problem is when you're with a partner and your body drastically changes from what it was. Like I can gain 10 to 15 pounds at a time and then lose them within a couple months. And because I have a certain kind of frame, it's very noticeable when I do gain or lose any kind of weight. If I have a partner that bigs me up at a certain weight and it's not a weight that I prefer, it kind of is off-putting. It makes you feel like, well, did you not like me when I was at the other weight? Because you didn't give me these same kind of compliments. And the second thing I want to say is postpartum. I have no idea if this woman's in postpartum or not, but because she just had a baby, sometimes it takes up to a year and a half, I've read, for postpartum to actually be over. And if she's in postpartum, everything you say is wrong. Everything you say is wrong. This is not the time to say anything insensitive. This is the time to say whatever she wants you to say, because she is miserable. Her hormones are completely imbalanced. It's almost like she's PMSing forever. Don't say nothing at all. So she could probably have taken this at a different time in a totally different manner. She may have said, ooh, okay, Zaddy, you like the wagon I'm carrying? But what she hears him saying instead is, you a hippo, but I'm cool with it because you got ass. That's what it sounds like, because I'm sure that's the postpartum talking, that's the postpartum talking. So I think he needs to think about, again, the timeline, wait a little later, you know what I mean, and be more supportive. If she didn't like it, I'm assuming this couldn't have happened just one time for him to be on the couch and not get any, because one statement ain't gonna be like, oh, well, you're not getting nothing after saying that. It has to be something that is repeatedly said over and over again. And I'm sure it was kind of like, okay, I said I ain't like it. Stop saying the same thing over and over and over again. Like, that's why he probably got to the couch. It's just the repeat offender behavior. And it goes back to what I say about ownership. Regardless how he wanted her body to look, she does not prefer it that way, and she has to live in that body. She has to look at herself in that body. She has to get dressed in that body. Maybe she don't like the looks that she gets with the ass. Being over-sexualized as a woman is not always very fun, and maybe she doesn't like that. Or maybe the fact that he's over-sexualizing her too much. Maybe cuddling has gone straight to fucking, I think there's a lot of perspectives to go to, and I do think he's the asshole, just because of the timing, to be honest.
Okay, I'm gonna split the decision. I think he is I don't think he's an asshole by intent, but I do think he is the asshole by impact. That's what I think.
Okay.
I don't think he's aware. Like, sir, you're not aware. Like, sir, you could have just clapped post-pregnancy cheeks for as just as a gift to you right now without saying shit. But now you done fucked up your prospects because you out here not knowing that you can't comment on a woman's weight. All nonchalant, willy-nilly. Like, even if that classic scenario of a woman asking, does this make me fat? You need to know that if yes is the answer, yes is not the answer. That's not what you say. Like, if it's indeed that it makes her look fat, you need to circumvent that. You need to come up with some, baby, it make you look you. And I love you. And it really don't matter what you wear. That color is popping. Like, get away from that shit. Get away from weight. Look, if she was gonna see, the problem is, I think, is that he wanted her to be like this forever now. And he was trying to figure out how to convince her to just keep your body this way, instead of enjoying the ride for the moment, Exactly. But that begs a different question, though, So for you guys, is there a range upon which your partner potentially let themselves go that at this point it need to be addressed, or at this point, like, we got to talk about it, or is it going to forever be, the person over what, they body? Like, how do y'all shake that?
I've talked about this on my podcast where we talked about my co-host being shallow, and I personally, I love him though. And I will say this, I think men and women are not necessarily visual creatures. We're more emotional creatures. So in general, I expect that my partner is not going to look the same forever. I have just come to terms with it. I have come to grips with it. I have decided it when I chose my partner. I have already imagined my partner in all the ways that they probably will change. And I already accepted it. So I know it's different for men because they're visual creatures. You guys are more just the way we're both very wired extremely differently. I will hint. I'll hint. Like, I'm gonna use this example. I was dating somebody and he got locks. Now everyone looks great with locks. Some people look great with it, and some people it's a no. When he got them, he came home and he looked like he was so happy. This was a couple years ago before locks were really everybody was doing them. And he came home and I was just like, oh, you changed your hair. Okay. And he was just like, yeah, I love it. And he was shaking his hair and doing all kind of stuff. And I was like, I was inside oh God, you look awful. How do I tell you I hate it? Because you're obviously going to ask my opinion. I hate it. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to shut my mouth and say, if you like it, then you look good. You look happy. I always say that. You look happy. It gives you a glow. I always say anything but you look good because that wasn't the truth and I'm not a liar. So I'll say that. Now, am I given the same amount of respect in that relationship? The answer is no, at all. So men and women are just wired differently. We're just not. I recognize that he probably didn't want to hear that, but I didn't expect for him to be like that if I said, I had worn a dress and I'd gained about 20 pounds. And I was just like, how do I look? And he was just like, your stomach looks a little different. I'm not used to seeing it like that. He was honest, which I hated. So we're not wired the same. We're not wired the same. We're not wired.
I always think about the worst case scenarios. Could I deal with a partner that had alopecia and walked in there like George Jefferson?
Ooh,
at nighttime, you know what I'm saying? Would I be okay with that, But I think for me, it's been I value the person, It's it takes a lot for me to connect with somebody. And once I've connected with you, it's because of what lies inside, not what's on the outside, And I'm sure there's conversation to be had in a respectful way when you've been in a relationship long enough and something that you don't like is going on, or something that maybe unhealthy ain't going on, there is a level of a person letting themselves go over a period of time that's may be hinting at depression or some other things. So at some point it may be time to address, or a midlife crisis where, somebody just come in bald headed, your woman come in bald headed after she done had 12 inches of hair on her head since you done known her. What's going on? Are you okay is the first question, not do I like it or do I not like it? This is an extreme situation,
That's
But
happened. I cut off a ponytail when I was in college. I was living with someone and he went to work and I just was having a hard time. I had some family issues going on and I went into the bathroom and I cut a whole ponytail off, like a whole ponytail. And he came home and I was bald. I was essentially bald. And this is when the natural hair movement was like not so forgiving. It was like 2010.
Yeah.
What was the natural hair movement? Let's just be honest. And he was just like, whoa, like what happened? I was like, I just decided like, my hair, I just felt like I wanted to change. So like I cut my hair and then I dyed it red. So not only did I cut it off, but then it's a whole different color. And this was in the span of like maybe 4 or 5 hours. And he was just like, he was miserable. He was miserable at first. He hated it. And he let me know every 5 seconds for the first month. And you have to accept that when you make those kind of decisions and your partner doesn't like them, and you don't discuss them with them beforehand, that this is what you're going to get back.
Yeah. What you got, Collin?
Well, that's all I got. Like I said, I'll end up talking way too long on that one. But yeah, it's a blend. It's you have to. It's just like with anything, man. You got to communicate. Like you can't, you can't like just don't assume that what you're saying is either potentially can hurt someone's feelings or more importantly that it's a compliment, that it's something that like, that you find positive, that other person might not see it that way. It's like with a lot of these things, what he should be doing is talking to his wife about that stuff instead of talking to the internet about it.
Yeah.
I say that a lot. Monica's got a friend back in Chicago, Vernon. Probably shouldn't use real names, but whatever. There's a lot of Vernons in the United States, but they don't listen to this podcast anyway, so we good. But now, I mean, sometimes, like with that or like with other folks, you guys have probably had a friend or something that comes to you and says like, hey, I'm really having this issue with my boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever. Blah blah blah, and they talk about all this stuff and they lay it all out like their grievances. Mm-hmm. They're like, what should I do? And every time somebody does that to me, I'm like, you should go back and tell them exactly what you just told me, like verbatim. Like, we ain't dating. You know what I mean? And I get you're looking for yes, your concerns are valid. I'll validate your concerns, but like, I can't make you make things better. You know what I mean? I can't make whatever the username of that story, Mr. I like thick butts or whatever. Like, I
cannot lie.
Yeah, like I can't make your wife embrace her new butt and to see it in a positive light or whatever it is. Or like I can't figure out how to get you off the couch. You know what I mean? That's something that you got to do with talking to her. So, a lot of these stories, some of them are just crazy. There was like weeks ago the one about the farting, like that. Oh, yeah. That shit was just like, I was like, yo, like I had to write in about that one. I was like, man. So, but a lot of them are just communication. Like they're out here talking to strangers on the internet when what they really need to do is be talking to their partner.
I think they're trying to figure out if they're wrong. Like, cause you ever
validation
to your friend and then your friend tells you like, yo, you don't say nothing about it. Like you're wrong. Don't say nothing. I think they're waiting for like, okay, I'm good or I don't need to be good kind of situation.
Yeah. But you know what on Reddit, what I be seeing, if you go down and read the comments, sometimes I read a comment, I'll be like, God damn, that was some good ass advice.
Yeah, sometimes.
But that is also in a sea of a bunch of posts that give horrible advice. And I think people are trying to get the best input they can to make a decision. And they need it from somewhere, and it's like they get to pick and choose between, people on these websites, But the reality is, if you're ever in this situation, then I think your best bet is to just make sure that your woman feels loved, and milli rock while you hit it from the back while you got an opportunity to, because just enjoy it while it's here, and I guess you can hope it lasts forever, But these got to be white people because these are white people problems.
I just said it like I'm black and I don't really clothes don't lay well on ass. To be honest, it don't lay well on ass and boobs. It don't. It just don't lay well.
Mm-hmm. But I think that in the context that like of black, it's a whole bunch of black women that's trying whatever they can to get the ass they want to have, and a whole bunch of white women are fighting to get an ass that's flat, you know. And so
Yes, now everybody want to look like a thick black woman.
Yeah, that's a crazy part now too, man. Like, especially like you come out here on the West Coast. Like, I took a trip down to California for a little bit, and like, there's more white chicks out there walking around looking like bodies like Megan Thee Stallion and shit than anybody else. It's like you be walking around down in Venice Beach and be like, what the hell? Like what y'all put in the water down here? Like, so. Or it's more where like people are just embracing their more natural bodies, and then, you know, they're wearing things that accentuate the curves that they would have otherwise if they didn't starve themselves or whatever it is to try to achieve the more slimmer figure. Because, like, you know, a real body is usually more like height and weight proportionate than otherwise, unless, you know, you got two parents that are like 6'2" and weighed 105 pounds. You know, then their kids are gonna all be skinny and tall too. You know, like, it's just, you know, genetics are funny.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna read through the 6 ones that I have.
Let's do it,
and we're gonna whittle down to which one we wanna read.
Let's do it.
My boyfriend says really mean things to me in his sleep.
What? What?
Mm-hmm.
Should I tell my boyfriend the truth about losing my virginity to him?
No, the answer is no, but
don't do it, sis.
Do not. It's just that in your best interest. My new boyfriend wants me to end my friendships with people of the opposite sex. He says girls should not befriend men and vice versa.
Oh, I like that one.
My wife recently changed her political views significantly and is negatively affecting our relationship and kids. Help me navigate what to do.
Keep going. Keep going.
2 more. My husband became obsessed with Napoleon, and I worry about his mental health.
What the fuck?
Okay.
And my girlfriend accidentally choked me too hard and made me pass out while we were having sex. Now she is scared to do anything and isn't the same in bed. What should I do?
Girl, don't be scared, but okay.
So,
yeah, we can do multiple of these. We just have to run through them.
Which one you want to? Which one we could go through quickly?
I really want to do the friendship one because I feel like that is so accurate, and I find that happens all the time. You get into a nice long-term relationship, and then people start to feel like they could tell you what to do about your friendships. I feel like that is so common.
Yeah,
it's a short one, so let's run this one quickly.
Okay. We'll do quick.
He's an amazing guy, but he wants me to only have women friends and not guy friends. He's especially mad I'm still friends with my ex I dated briefly years ago back in college. He's serious that he'll break up if I don't cut them out of my life. He claims he's never had a friend of the opposite sex, especially not an ex. It's just not normal. I don't know what to do. Is he right or wrong? I don't want to end things with my buddies, but he's got potential to be amazing.
First problem, there's potential to be amazing. You guys are not together, like not in a long-term, super serious relationship. So there's potential. That's the first problem I have with it. The second problem I have was with her. I really wish she would have put like, how long has her and the ex not been together? Like, has it been like, there's a difference between an ex from like 10 years ago than an ex that's like from 2 years ago. It's completely like a huge difference. Because at that point, y'all had several different relationships in between, and the whatever y'all had is probably very gone. So my first problem is, girl, why'd you tell them the truth? Like, that sounds so awful, but why did you tell them the truth? If you knew, everybody has an idea, male or woman, it really does make a difference. If you're friends with someone, you know it is very platonic, like the person doesn't do anything weird. I don't always believe in lying per se, but I think I would have told the person that we were exes later on as we got closer to each other. The more and more serious the relationship became. But I think at the beginning, I don't want you to feel insecure at the beginning about every friendship or relationship, like you're in competition at the beginning. I wouldn't have. So I'm like, girl, why'd you tell him the truth about this ex at the beginning is the first problem I have. And the second problem is, I really wish I knew what kind of ex this was. And I don't think you should change or reformulate your life in any way, shape, form, or fashion for potential. At all. I don't think you should. People should take people at face value when you first. You do not need to
Mhm.
change yourself at the very beginning for no reason, because then you create this terrible pattern of every time somebody doesn't like something about you, you are going to be so super bendable to change all the time. And that's for male or women. You should not be changing at the beginning. People should take you at face value. Now, if you change, that's one thing, but they shouldn't have this expectation that you're going to change. So I already, yeah, he wrong. There's that.
Yeah, this is one that's there's not a lot of context and there's not a lot of information. There's some missing information, like you said.
Mhm.
So, because on the first, so there and there's a lot of other context involved with like the friendships too. So, for example, so the part about the ex, totally agree. Like, what type of ex is this, right? Because like, if it was 10 years ago, 8 years ago, a long time ago, right? Whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they probably have moved on, all that kind of stuff. Like, blah blah blah. Totally cool. But the way that this one reads, if I'm making assumptions and filling it in, is as if there's potentially probably something problematic about this ex being a friend. And so a lot of times people that try to seek validation of this are they hold on to a lot of people within their circle that can be potentially problematic, and they're trying to get other people. It's like when you get broken up with. I remember it was like a long time ago, first long time girlfriend is like telling me, yeah, and we can still be friends. And it's like, no, the fuck we can't. Like, I have a totally different expectation of what this relationship, and relationship, using the word relationship just between two people, not necessarily romantic, but like I'm not okay with not being with you romantically. And so therefore your attempt to want to be friends with me is not, it's almost like it's a toxic, or like it's like toxic. Like I cannot be a friend, be friends with you. I don't want to be your friend. I want to be your boyfriend. I want to be your partner. So that part missing is super, we need that information to be able to probably accurately answer this. But on the other side of it too, though, like, from being a dude who has been on the other side, outside looking in, right, having a handful, not too many, but a handful of female friends over the years, and some really good ones too, by the way. I've been the guy on the other side where the boyfriend or whatever is trying to tell her to cut me off because he feels threatened by my presence. So in all of those instances too, there was never anything that ever occurred between me and that woman. So and so that's the other part where, like, without any of the added context, it's hard to answer this. Is like, is he just a jealous ass boyfriend who's doesn't, is trying to say whatever, or because she's also friends with an ex who used to blow her back out, is she does she also keep around a bunch of dudes who've been low key trying to blow her back out as a friend? You know what I'm saying? And then then you have a very real, because like we all can tell, like if you go and hang out with your significant other and they're one of their friends from opposite sex shows up, you can tell, especially men, because like we're so simple creatures, like you can tell if the other dude is trying to slide in or had tried to before, or is hoping that you're a temporary or like whatever it is. And so without that extra context, like it's too hard to kind of see. But because it could go either way. It could be where, like, where she's not necessarily wrong. I think she's partially wrong. To answer this right now, I think she's partially wrong. I don't particularly think there's any reason to be having the ex around and to be telling your new boyfriend all about the ex. Like, that's like you said, like, don't even bring that dude up at all. Like, and if he, unless he's like, they're texting every single day and everything. But then as the boyfriend, I'm like, the fuck are you texting your ex for all the time? Like it's like that very weird balance of like, you got me, I'm supposed to be your romantic part. He's an ex, but like you're still like super close. Like, what are we doing? Like, and so it goes on point you made earlier. Like, now you've given me information that I can use to decide, what I want to do.
Yeah.
So, because again, to your point too, Sid, like you don't have to change. You shouldn't change for anybody. And if that's one of the things that you don't like dating girls who keep their exes around, then don't sit around and try to make them change, but also you don't have to change either. You don't have to suddenly like start to accept that in order to like move on and find somebody that fits what you're looking for. So
I look at it from an abuser's perspective. So an abuser, they take on the personality of somebody they need you to accept, so that at some point they choose you as well, so that at some point you become accepting of the person that you believe they can be when they do some bullshit, you know? And so that's what they do. And a part of me feels like if you did meet, if a woman that was in this kind of interaction did meet a guy, he would be the kind of person that makes it seem like talking about our past relationships is something that's helpful to the dialogue, but then turns around to use that against them by saying, well, I don't want you to have interaction with none of these people, you know? Because I mean, I'm friends with all my exes on Facebook, you know, and if I dated somebody that asked me a question as if it was like simple, like, hey, you know, who do you still, are you friends with your exes? Oh yeah, and they end up getting deep enough to talk more about who those people were, and I might have used some names, and they look up those people, and was like, you know, I don't like you being friends with these people. You know, I can see this, and the only reason because there's one statement in here that make it seem like the boyfriend or the boyfriend is the problem is that he claims he's never had a friend of the opposite sex.
He lying.
You know, and
Yeah,
so
he lying.
it seems more so like this is really what he feels he needs to tell her to make her seem like her situation ain't normal so that he can get her to adhere to what he's trying to get her to adhere to in that situation. But either way, yeah, you're right. It could be her upset that, you know, she's saying that I can't, you know, contact or be friends with this ex, and she's writing it out in a way that she get validated on this thing. You know, that's another thing that happened on here. Like people create stories that, but man, the Reddit detectives too. If you go down, if you just choose a thread that you're interested in and just read down through, bruh, they ask the questions that need to be asked. Yeah. You know, and the thing about Reddit is these motherfuckers might be detectives and police officers and scientists. They could be anything.
Counselors, therapists.
Exactly. That will fuck up your situation.
Yeah. But your point, actually, you made a really good point about the boyfriend being the problem with him claiming that he's never had a friend of the opposite sex. He lying. So unless he's like a total piece of shit, because like there ain't no way, man. Like there's no way. Like I've had friends of the opposite sex because for if you're a straight heterosexual man, you have women of the opposite sex for two reasons. One, because they are your friend, because we're humans and you have a variety of diverse friends for the most part, unless you know, I don't know, you only like in the clan or something like that. They only have a certain kind of type of friend, right? So, or you have female friends that are your friend because you're trying to smash. There's only like really like you keep them around because it's truly that platonic friend, or they're a friend that you're trying to make elevate to friend with benefits, or a friend that you're trying to elevate into a relationship. Like you don't have, this dude has not gone his entire life hanging out with nothing but meat his entire life. Like it's not the case. It's just not, he's lying. He's totally lying.
Not hanging out with meat, child.
But it's yeah, no, it's true. So like meat positivity, you know what I mean? So but the whole that part about throwing like the X in there, that's the one that makes me think like, why are you bringing that up? Like, why are you? It seems like there's a maybe a bizarre connection to that, and now she's, you know what I'm saying? There's like I need more information.
Everyone needs, like, do they know each other? Why you said about that? Because he was gonna find out eventually anyway. Like, girl, why you bring this up? Like, I just wouldn't have said anything. If you don't have anything to worry about, I'm not going to. Now, if they ask me, like, did something ever happen? Of course, please tell the truth. But I wouldn't give that unsolicited information if there's nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's to me.
Damn, I had a point I was gonna make. I forgot what the hell I was gonna say. I don't understand why the potential to be amazing doesn't include being accepting of the people that I already have in my life. Like, she said he has the potential to be amazing, but like, to me, amazing would be also accepting of my current relationships and not expecting me to change and up in my life in terms of my connections to be with you.
Exactly.
Like, I just don't understand why. I think that we're a level of irrationally accepting of our partner's criticism of the people in our lives. I think that's a problem in our society. You know, I think that we listen too much to people when they say, well, who is this friend? Well, why are you talking? You know, the first time, Sid, you get a phone call from a dude and the dude that you with can hear that the dude voice coming from it, you know, I imagine he'd be like, who is that? You know?
I'll be like, that's I mean, I think that's when you have to set up a standard, because as women are known to take on behaviors and patterns from their partners. We've been taught that from a very young age, that that's something that we're supposed to do. That's why you have all these women going to football games and don't even understand the game. Me 5 years ago. So I really think it's super important that you set a standard and a behavior pattern that you want set up in your relationships. If a man says, who's that? You are very feel free to say, that's my friend. And they're just
That's
like, oh,
it. That's all you got to say.
just say like, that's my friend. And they're just like, oh, and you're just like, well, it's cool. You want to talk to him? Like, make the person feel as comfortable as possible. It doesn't take a lot to make someone feel comfortable. I think the problem is if someone is a secret. Like if maybe, that's why I wish I had more information about this ex. Like, have they never met? Do they not have interactions with each other for him to see? Because I think when you give like your current partner, if you are talking to somebody, if you have a friend or somebody that's an ex, or you guys have just some weird history, maybe you guys are not officially exes, or maybe you fooled around. I think if they've had some kind of correlation, they've had some type of interaction amongst each other, typically they can see that it's just like homie energy. They can see the homie energy. But you can't, just make your partner feel more comfortable. I don't know why that's so difficult. I just wish I knew, have more information, because I don't even know how to judge this thing no more.
And if it's a friend or an ex and she says, or he says in any case of it, yeah, nothing happened, and that other person doesn't believe them, then you got other problems in that relationship that don't have anything to do with who their friends are or who their ex is, or like you got some trust issues that are surfacing in that particular circumstance.
Yeah, that's what this whole letter screams. Trust issues. Maybe I think this person needs to focus on getting mentally healthy from whatever relationship that scarred them versus trying to change their new partner. What's the next one, Eddie?
How
are we doing on the time? Because we want to get to some news too, so we might have to. Have to rapid fire.
We're gonna wrap it up to one. We'll do one more of these, and I'll say the rest of them for later potentially. But I want to do this one. My girlfriend accidentally choked me too hard and made me pass out while we were having sex. Now she's scared to do anything that isn't in the same bed. What should I do? My girlfriend is amazing. We have great chemistry. She's the best in the bedroom and really knows what I like. She definitely knows how to have a great time. We're both pretty freaky and like to mix it up all of the time. Honestly, we've probably done about anything that you could name. Something that we are very, very big on is BDSM play. We can get pretty rough and wild. We do things like slapping, spanking, grabbing, choking, and more. We can both get pretty rough with one another. Sometimes she's in charge and other times I'm in charge. Well, this particular time she was in charge. I was the one getting punished. She had got on top of me and she was choking me and riding at the same time. I had a mask on so she couldn't see my face like she normally does. Normally my face is a good indication of when she needs to stop and let go. This time she couldn't see it. She was choking me hard and I suddenly passed out. I wasn't out long, but when I woke up, my girlfriend was sobbing. She was apologizing like crazy and was hugging me. I told her it's okay. That's part of the risk. That is part of the risk. She kept apologizing and wouldn't let go. I told her that I was good to keep going. She said no and that I needed to rest. I really wanted to finish, but I finally gave in. The next day I tried to initiate things in bed. She said she wasn't feeling well and that she wanted to sleep. The next day I tried again and she agreed. When we started, I noticed that she was being super gentle. Everything was way different than before. I stopped her and asked her what was wrong. She was crying again and told me that she was worried about hurting me. She said she must not have realized her own strength. She said that she doesn't think she'll feel comfortable being rough with me anymore. I tried to assure her again that everything was okay. She didn't seem to believe me. Our sex is not the same as it was before the incident. It in no way bothered me, but it really seemed to bother her. I'd like our sex life to go back to how it used to be. Neither one of us are enjoying it as much since. Is there anything I can do to get her feel comfortable doing stuff again?
I feel for him. I feel for him.
This sounds like a BBW love situation. Like, you gotta be a small man, because like his ass beat. I haven't had anything like this happen. I'm a pretty small woman. I date pretty large men in comparison to me. But I will say this: I have done things in bed and been like, the person didn't respond well to it. And I'm like, shit, should I do? I feel like we're getting back to what we were doing before, because like I've overstepped my boundaries. Like what? Because I like to try things, and sometimes people aren't on the same wavelength as me. And the only thing that he could do to get her back into mood is give her time. Just over time, that's the only way it's going to get back to normal, because the first couple times she is going to be scared because she beat your ass. She almost killed you. To be honest. So of course she's just going to be scared the first couple times. But after a while of them having sex and him reassuring her and him basically being the initiator of the aggression, she'll get back into the swing of things, you know, but it is going to take a minute because once again, like, he literally said he passed out. Like, I'll be scared having flashbacks every time. She probably don't even want to ride his ass no more.
I feel for him though, for like both, because like obviously they both are like, they're into it, they're into each other, they're happy, and like, and now like because something, there's an accident basically, now that, you know, there's some, you know, there's like some issues and stuff with it. I feel for him because like it's like a, you know, they just got to sit down, talk about it, come up with a safe word, a safe gesture, you know what I mean, maybe like a, like if you get, because if you getting choked, like, you know, and you can't speak, come up with like a, you know, throw up a gang sign or something to let them know that, you know, something, you know what I mean? But like obviously they're this isn't one that I think that they are like miles apart like some of the other ones that y'all talk about on the show sometimes, where I'm like no, what y'all need to do is move on, like, you know, like but like this one, they're very clearly, they want to get back to the kink, but they're scared, and like they just got to talk about it, set some boundaries up, set up some safe words, like I said, some hand signs if you can't talk, whatever, because you got to, because I don't, you know, but yeah, they just need to sit down and talk about it, and then just get back at it, you know what I mean? Just, you know, hey, you know, every once in a while somebody passes out, you know, it's just, you know, it happens.
She was beating his ass.
Yeah.
So what I, you know, so just going off of some of what I know, this is breath play in the BDSM community. This is called breath play. It's when, you know, you restrict a person's ability to breathe. And when it comes to choking, I don't think a lot of people know this, but the pressure is not on the windpipe. The pressure is on the side of the throat. And a lot of people who don't know, they push down on that windpipe, which will have you pass out a lot faster than you would otherwise. If you're looking to be informed about a lot of kink that you didn't know about, and you have TikTok on your phone, just put in kink talk. Hashtag kink talk, bro.
Okay, hold on, I'm getting my phone right now.
I'm writing this down. Like, this is so educational.
So, listen, write down hashtag kink talk. I put in black kink, and I went and followed the black kink people. But it's a lot of people just informing about a whole bunch of different stuff, because I need to understand why some people are into some of the stuff they into. And I just wanted to go into like the DDLG, daddy dom and little girl dynamics. I really want to understand. I just don't know how you get there.
Yeah, it just sounds like it's a gateway to
that's what I need.
Well, see, so I felt the same way you did, Sid, but it's because some of that stuff, I try to research this stuff too, because I'm just, you know, I grew up as a child of the internet, basically. Like, I, you know, so nothing shocks me. If people talk about, look at this crazy story online or whatever, I'm like,
we came up with two girls.
I was doing dial-up internet, looking at crazy shit when I was a teenager. So like, nothing shocks me, right? That's when it's not necessarily a gateway. From the research that I know, and you that's why I like, you want to try to understand it, because it's very clear that that's their kink, but they absolutely would not gateway that into actual underage people or underage girls, or this stuff's bizarre. So
because with pedophilia, it's about the age exclusively. When you turn 12, it's a wrap. For DDLG, it's about the power dynamic. Mm-hmm. It's about the little girl wanting a power figure to tell her what she can and can't do in a parental type tone. And for the daddy dom, it's about being able to assert that power onto somebody who is expected to listen in that context.
Okay.
You know, look, I learned this shit from Kink Talk. You know what I'm saying?
Research this.
Go to Kink. Look, go to Kink Talk. It's interesting. It'll teach you a lot. But another thing is, a big part of BDSM is about consent and boundaries, like Collin was talking about. And so the reality is, if your girl's boundary is that she don't want to do this anymore, then that is expected to be respected in the BDSM community. You know, if she don't want to do that no more, worst case scenario, she thought she killed him. Worst case scenario, imagine what it must feel like to be having sex with your partner, enjoying them, and then feel like you might have killed them because they done passed out. You know, my experience with that was apparently my first girlfriend, which the way that she put it is knocking her period on, and
What?
I don't know. That's how she put it. I don't know what you call. Well, what it really is, I guess, is being unaware that her period was about to show up while we were having sex, and when we had sex, it showed up, and nobody knew it was, or maybe she did. I don't know. Maybe it was her kink. Maybe she wanted to see what it looked like.
That is a thing, though. Some women like to have sex close because you be super horny near your periods. Maybe you most of the time you shy away from it. Like you're horny, but you're just like it's finna happen, so it doesn't matter if I'm horny. I need to shy away from this. Like I can't do it. But some women get excited, they surfing on red. They're trying to make sure they don't actually have it happen, but they're close to it, so they get all the horniness fulfilled. She could have been into that.
But so what happened was, I'm having sex and it starts to feel different and it starts to smell like nickels in the room. And I'm like, something's going on. And so I get up and I go turn on the light and blood is on the post on the bed. Blood is on the lights. Everything I touch, blood is on. Because
what are you guys doing?
We were having sex.
Never mind.
Listen,
doing a video for Kink Talk. That's what we're doing.
I guess so.
Look, I'm an 18-year-old that grew up with a brother with a mama that never talked about sex, so I didn't know nothing about periods. So when I saw blood everywhere, I thought she was hurt. I had no idea what was going on. She was laying there all calm, like, oh, must be my period. And I'm like, you finna die. We got to get you to the hospital. I was like, that shit threw me for a while. I can get that image out of my head for some time. That shit was terrifying. So I'm just thinking, if I thought that I killed my partner or she passed out, bro, I think I'll be fucked up. Even if she passed out from me choking, I'll be like, oh shit. That'll be, I don't know. I don't like it.
I would like it. I think anyone would like to kill people. Sex is supposed to be very pleasurable. It's a happy time. There's nothing like a buzzkill than a dead body.
Yeah,
I guess, but the reality is, I guess the allure to it is being on the edge. It's like the best feeling you can get is getting as close to passing out and being conscious as you can while you getting your orgasm, I guess. And so at some point you may teeter the line of passing out, and it don't seem like they've done enough research, or she done enough research to know what the risks are, how to protect yourself from the risks, to expect it at some point, and how to recover from it. But I just thought this was
more better on how to choke without having him pass out. I think she should research that. So that would alleviate a lot of her anxiety if she knew how to do it properly.
Exactly. And that's what she probably need to do. What Collin was talking about and what you were saying. Just take it slow, establish boundaries with each other, and then move forward from there. But yeah, that's the one I wanted to do.
Let's do quick lightning round on the other one.
Lightning round. Let's do lightning rounds. Okay.
We got to get to the news because we looking at that timer.
I think we got time to run through these. I'm gonna do the Napoleon one. It seemed crazy as hell.
Maybe we need to do a second recording too and have 2 shows. So because it's a pretty good vibe.
If y'all got time, the time can go over more than what we normally do. If y'all got to get out of here.
No, I've got time. I don't got nothing to do until.
If y'all got time, I'm good for it because I'm loving this conversation. My husband became obsessed with Napoleon, and I worry about his mental health. Insert Napoleon is what they put right here, but I guess if we looking at it in our own sense, insert anything or anybody that your partner can become obsessed with in this.
Okay.
I want to begin with saying that he did not show any signs of obsession or similar behavior before, or at least I didn't see it during our marriage of 2 years, plus a relationship of 3 years before. He could be too blunt or lack subtlety sometimes, but was generally a very logical man with sound judgment. That was until about 6 or 7 months ago when I found him watching something on his PC. I asked him what it was, and he said it was a documentary about Napoleon and his life, battles, campaigns, etc. That struck me as odd because he was never interested in history, politics, or this type of thing before. He didn't change overnight, but gradually. Over time, he started watching documentaries, videos, and movies about Napoleon more and more frequently. I didn't think anything of it until a parcel arrived at our house. I picked it up as he was at work. The huge cargo was hundreds of books written solely about Napoleon, biographical books as well as books about wars, etc. I, of course, asked him what this was all about, and he shrugged it off, saying that it wasn't a big deal and he wanted to learn. By this time, he was spending almost all of his free time watching Napoleon documentaries, videos, and movies, or reading these books. I also saw that the wallpaper of his PC and his phone lock screen, which were previously photos of us together, was changed to paintings of Napoleon. A few days later, another parcel arrived, this time containing huge posters, portraits, and paintings of, you guessed it, Napoleon. I was determined to talk to him seriously the next day after work. When I arrived home, I struggled to keep my emotions stable as I came to a house decorated head to toe with Napoleon posters and paintings. All the way from the kitchen to the bedroom, walls and tables were covered. I angrily asked him if he's okay and told him to remove them. Then he got overly offended by my remark and acted like I'm in the wrong. I decided to wait until I cooled off, but a week or so has passed and we barely even talked to each other, all the while living in the house filled with those posters as my husband didn't allow me to remove them and got unusually angry when I tried to do so. Things came to a breaking point when another parcel arrived containing useless items like a strange hat, which I'm guessing is a Napoleon hat, a replica sword, a strange-looking clothing, a pair of tall boots, and a bust of Napoleon. I got furious and confronted him. He completely ignored what I said and asked me stuff like, is it legal to own a horse in the backyard? I seriously thought, more like hoped, that he was joking or that this whole thing was an elaborate prank, but he kept a serious face all that time. I packed my things and stormed out of the house in my moment of anger. I'm at my parents' house now, just told them that we had a huge fight. I'm seriously considering divorce as he's no longer the man I once loved for quite some time now. We have no kids if that matters. What should I do?
Okay. I really think that this is something that requires therapy. And I'm going to say this. I think we need to look to what was happening before this behavior pattern started, that he started to idolize a dictator. That's the thing. A dictator, or someone that they idolized that obviously was in a different power structure than they were in. What was happening before? Like, I really wish that I had context to what was happening before. Was his life miserable? Were people stepping on him? Was he getting his ass beat? Does he have complex issues from high school? Like, I really want to know. I have an obsessive personality myself. I could pick on a topic or pick up something and then become so obsessed about it that it can somewhat overwhelm my partner because I like to get down rabbit holes. So I can kind of relate to the topic of having to try to control your partner. But this seems like this ain't normal. This seems like he needs to go to therapy. She needs to probably be worried if he's thinking about beheading her. I don't know how to feel about this.
Man.
Yeah, I think your video froze over there.
Oh, damn! I look stupid in it too.
I didn't even.
But this is another one where I feel like, so number one, yeah, therapy sounds absolutely like that should be the first step in investigating what's going on. This one's interesting to me though, because it's like, it's a pandemic and people are in quarantine and people are picking up hobbies and people are trying to figure out ways to cope. So, I mean, that's maybe that's what the therapy would be able to uncover is like, is this some kind of bizarre coping mechanism for isolation where, you know, he's turned it like, I mean, because in one instance, like him saying like, no, I'm really interested. I just want to do some learning. I mean, I think it's fantastic that somebody wants to do some independent learning. It seems like it might be being a little bit extreme, or maybe very extreme. But you know, it's hard to discern what the I'm trying to think of the word, like the catalyst or like it's trying to like the origination point of this thing. Like, what's the entry point to his newfound obsession with Napoleon? And you know, it's also like maybe it sounds kind of like it could be something along the autism spectrum too, perhaps. You know, there's like a, you know, very, very intense desire to learn everything that there is to learn, and then going above and beyond by ordering props, replica swords and the hat and like all this type of stuff. I mean, there's some things that, you know, probably not necessarily cause for concern. I mean, he could be addicted to something a whole lot worse than learning about, you know, I can't think of the era. Like, it's not Renaissance era, but like, you know, Napoleonic era, you know, French military tactics. Like, yeah, I mean, you could, like, there's a lot of things that you could be worse obsessed with nowadays. I mean, you know, he's not obsessed with kink talk, you know, scrolling on the so, but yeah, I agree with you. There's probably some therapy will help to uncover what the underlying, you know, cause or problem is with something like this, because it's bizarre. Like, it's a bizarre obsession. It'd be one thing if he had ordered like one big box of books from Amazon and was just doing some reading, but you know, when you talking about he's ordering props, I'm like, what are you like? So what is really going on here? Like, are you studying for a reenactment? Are you really trying to go all out for Halloween this year, or do you actually have an obsession problem or an addiction problem that you know we need that needs to be examined professionally, like in a clinical sense?
Yeah, because this is like I guess the best case scenario is this behavior is just insight into something else that is going on that you just didn't know about because the current moment never presented an opportunity for, you know, your partner to capitalize on something that would turn into this. You know, you never know. When he was 16, he might have got this obsession when he was in high school with something, and just, you know, life, they finished with it and then was like, went back on and life is normal. You know, they may have periods of going through this, learning about things, you know, like you said, it could be autism that a person has had checked relatively well. And, you know, autism is a social disorder. So, you know, being able to be social might have been them practicing it, but now that the social component is gone, they got back in the day old patterns of autism. And I mean, we can't avoid it. It could be some physical health issue. This could be a tumor. You know, a tumor could be pressing on a part of the brain that creates obsessions, you know, and now this is showing the behavior because it's like, it sounds like in that story that a lot of rational stuff has gone out the window, even the courtesy of communicating with your wife of this journey that you're going on. I mean, it would have sounded better if he would have had her in there saying, hey, did you know this about Napoleon? I've kind of become interested in this guy. And along the step, you know, maybe not ordering 100 books, but order like 5 and be like, hey, honey, like I got some, you know, like that makes it seem extreme. Like she said 100 books came in one parcel.
Yeah.
You know, like that's probably cause for alarm to a degree, you know?
Yeah.
But any behaviors that become vastly extreme from what they were are cause for concern in terms of you might have a physical issue, you might have a psychological issue, or hell, you just might be somebody I didn't know you was until I found this out, you know? So I think something extreme is always a cause to inquire, at least, to an explanation of why that extreme thing is happening, you know? And I guess the hard part is sometimes those extremes happen without you actually knowing yourself, especially if it's psychological, you know? So if somebody start buying up a whole bunch of Zippo lighters because they like to collect lighters, and you know, line them up all in your room, and motherfucker walk in and be like, hey, this shit wasn't like this before. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? Well, I just like Zippo lighter. You ain't never said nothing about no goddamn Zippo lighter, and now this shit going on. We finna go to the doctor. But yeah, I thought that one was extreme.
The last thing I'm gonna say before you move on is I do think this could also be. I've been reading some weird stories about how people are getting flares of OCD now that they're trapped in the house. It was like a thread on Twitter that I was following that people who had OCD, who had it underneath control, have now their disorders have gotten out of hand because they're now trapped in the house and they're able to, I don't know, I guess something triggers them. And I wonder if it's a case like that with this particular person. Like maybe something just like snapped in their mind, maybe being in the house and watching and seeing little things, maybe watching too much History Channel, and something snapped in their mind and created a disorder pattern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely possible. all kind of shit going on with this COVID.
Got to get out the house.
Yeah.
Gotta get out the house.
Yeah, no,
Yeah. Even if you don't go out, I mean, that's like if anybody's listening too, let's put a plug for that right now, like for health, right? Even if you don't go in, because you gotta try to stay 6 feet apart, blah blah blah, like wear a mask. Just go outside. Just go outside when it's a sunny day. Let that vitamin D, them UV rays hit you a little bit. You know, get some fresh air. Go for a walk. You know, drink some water. You know.
Stir crazy. That's why all this drama and stuff is all over the internet. We all going stir crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. By the way, being quarantined with your partner, that's a true, like, not trial by fire, but that's the other reason why I knew that she's good to go, because like we had no drama since March. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's I mean, everybody's got relationship drama, but like nothing that's like where you start questioning what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's like regular annoyances, like
You need to hold on to her tightly, because I done 2 divorces. 2 people that I know are going through a divorce. Like they're getting divorced.
Bruh. With counseling people and having all of these Zoom meetings with people, it's one or two things that's been going on. Either people find out that they didn't know who they was with, and now that they've been spending time with them, it's like, damn, it reinforces why I'm with you. I value you.
Mhm.
And the other side is, I didn't know who you was. Why the fuck am I with you? How did I get here?
No middle ground.
Exactly. It's like how it's like a lot of people's pattern of relationship is the working all day is a part of what makes the relationship work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the going somewhere, your ass being gone from 9 to 5 is a part of what makes the relationship work for me. Now that you are here from 9 to 5, that shit too much. That this wasn't calculated, because most of us over the life of our relationship got a job. You know, so most of us are away from our partner at least 8 hours a day because of working or school or whatever. That's been the whole time. Imagine that being your pattern, and now having to figure out what to do with a person for 8 extra hours, you know, a day. And a lot of people finding that shit out the hard way.
A lot of people realize they don't have things in common because they're going to work or having social relations outside of the house and coming home, and that's their conversation. But they actually don't have conversation about anything else besides their adventures that they have outside the home. So you get home, you ain't got nothing to say because y'all been at home with each other. Y'all are the adventure.
Yeah.
And imagine how fucked up this scenario is, because this has to have happened to where 2 people spending all the time in the house get mad as shit at each other and be like, I don't think I can do this no more. And then one of them get COVID, and now you gotta love them again.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta love them again now.
You gotta take care of them. You gotta take the food. You gotta put the food at the door like it's prisons when they're quarantined in the extra bedroom. You know, you gotta So then they fall back in love, and then it's a story, and then we can write a screenplay and make a movie out of it.
Yeah, I've been taking you for granted. This COVID tried to put me under, goddamn.